All right, so just to start off with, this is just a little disclaimer that these webinar sessions are hosted by me. My name is Rachel Lindberg. I am a Master's of Counseling Psychology practicum student, and Ashley McLeaf, who will introduce herself in just a second. She's a Master's of Social Work fieldwork student, and we are both supervised by Mark Ream. He is a licensed professional counselor and the Director of Angelo Estates Counseling Services. These webinars are informational and psychoeducational. They are not intended to be used as psychotherapeutic treatment or therapy. Should these sessions cause any psychological or emotional discomfort, please call the counseling services at 325-942-2371 or the crisis helpline, which is 325-486-6345 if you need immediate assistance, and that's available 24/7. So a little bit about us. I'll go first since I'm already talking, and then I'll let Ashley go. Like I said, I am a counseling psychology graduate practicum student, so I graduate here in December. Right now, I conduct intake assessments and I can provide individual, couples, and group counseling. I will be seeking licensure as a licensed professional counselor after I graduate. And then I put in a fun fact. I share a birthday with one of my dogs, and we like to have a birthday party for us. So, Ashley.
That's so awesome. Well, I'm Ashley McLeaf. I am a social work advanced standing graduate field student. At the Counseling Center, I conduct intake assessments and provide case management services to students, so kind of linking them up with any resources that they might need. And after graduation, I am going to seek licensure as a licensed master social worker. And fun fact about me is I listen to a bunch of podcasts. I listen to like about 10, maybe a little bit more. So.
All right. So today we're talking about goal setting, time management, and organization. We thought that it would be really timely since it's the start of the summer semester. And even though most people are only taking one or two classes, this is a good time to maybe try out implementing a lot of these strategies before your caseload gets too heavy, like it probably will in the fall. To see what works for you. Summer is a good time to kind of practice and see if there's anything that will be helpful for later on, especially as course loads get a little heavier. So goal setting, it gets thrown out a lot, like just set a goal and do it, but it's a little bit more complex than that. So a good definition, or I think it's a good definition for goal setting is it's a plan for action to achieve a specific outcome. So not only is your goal what you want to do, it's also making a plan for implementing strategies on how to reach that desired outcome that you're looking for. So individuals who set goals are actually more likely to have higher motivation, higher self-esteem, higher self-confidence, and more autonomy, as well as increase their chances for success. If anybody doesn't really make goals for themselves, they don't really know kind of what they want to get out of a specific class or situation, then they might not be as successful just because they don't really know what they want their outcome to be. You can't succeed at something if you don't know what that outcome for success is. So goal setters tend to be more positive and view setbacks as temporary roadblocks rather than a personal shortcoming. So individuals who set goals are tend to be more optimistic about the future. They are excited to implement the steps that they are trying to do to reach that goal. And if, a little stumbling block pops up or maybe a mistake occurs, they don't see that as a complete failure of not reaching that goal. It's more of a temporary issue, a little speed bump to get over rather than seeing themselves as a total failure. So that's another good reason for why goal setting can be really helpful. Attaining a goal provides the self with a sense of achievement and fulfillment, which in turn helps enhance self-esteem, confidence, self-efficacy. So, kind of like the second bullet, reaching your goals feels really good. You feel accomplished. Gives you a sense of mastery and fulfillment, which just feels really good. It raises your self-esteem. It gives confidence whenever we reach a goal. And it also shows us that once we reach one goal, we can possibly reach more in the future, which goes along with enhancing our level of self-efficacy. So there are different types of goals, and this is kind of important to know because um, the more we understand what goals are, the easier it is to set them and maybe refine kind of what you want and more of a refined outcome for what you are trying to achieve. So, with process goals, these are more focused on forming new or getting rid of old habits. It's pretty broad. It's the doing of something rather than a specific outcome from the doing. I know this sounds kind of vague. So I put in examples for these. And so an example of a process goal is going to the gym in the morning or taking your vitamins every evening. Just really simple, more of a lifestyle change. But you're not looking for a specific outcome from that process. It's the going of itself or the doing of itself that makes it a process goal. So performance goals, they track and measure the progress of doing a process. So for example, going to the gym 4 times a week for 30 minutes a session or studying for 2 hours a day. You're incorporating a performance, which is the time limit on it, the 4 times in the 30 minutes. You're adding a performance to the process. And then an outcome goal. Outcome goals are the successful implementation of process and performance goals. So when you do something and then you also add in a time limit or a number of how often you want to be doing it, then you get your outcome, which, for example, is getting an A on a midterm or meeting a money savings goal for a vacation. And the process is saving money every paycheck. The performance is how much money every paycheck. And then the outcome is, getting to your whatever the total amount of money was. So SMART goals. I'm sure you've heard this before. It's a very, very popular way of determining how to set a goal that will make it the most effective way of trying to reach that goal. Goals tend to be kind of broad. Graduate college. Okay, well, let's break it down and make it into smaller, measurable steps that will help reach the overall outcome. So the S stands for specific. This targets a particular area of functioning and focuses on building it. So I need an A on my biology midterm. It needs to be measurable. Results can be gauged or indicated by quantitative, such as a grade on a grading scale, or qualitative, which might be more like verbal feedback from somebody that you're doing really well or that you're learning well. And that helps monitor your progress. If you get a 70 on a quiz in August, but an 85 in October before the midterm, then that kind of shows progress that you've made in your learning. So an A, this, it's measurable, is 90 to 100 on a grading scale, most usually. Sometimes professors do an 89 to 100. The more generous ones will use an 89 as an A sometimes. And then SMART goals are also achievable / attainable. So they are individualized. It's not going to be the same for everybody. And they also take into account that no single rule fits all. So not every individual is going to have the same goals to get the same outcome or the same specific steps to get the same outcome. It might look very different for somebody who has a history of getting A's than for somebody who has been maybe struggling in the topic a little bit and has been getting C's and B's instead. Their process is going to look different. So, and it needs to be flexible as well. It's okay to, get a roadblock and maybe kind of alter what you're doing and change it for the future. So it's a SMART goal might be achievable or attainable because, you've gotten A's on the homework and some of the quizzes, and you're willing to study hard. So, it might not be very attainable if you've only gotten C's and you're not willing to study. That's not really an effective way to get an A if that's how you're going about it. And then SMART goals are also realistic. They're practical and they're planned in a way that is easy to implement in real life. Like I said a minute ago, getting an A is a very realistic if absolutely no studying whatsoever is being done. So, if you never open your textbook or take notes, then it's a little unrealistic to think that an A might be achievable. Some people have photographic memories and don't open a book, and that's fine, but the majority of people, like 98% of people, aren't able to do that. So I got to keep that in mind. And then SMART goals are also time bound. So they help focus on the goal and it provides a time frame for task achievement. So if you know that your midterm is in 3 weeks, then you're able to say, well, this first week I'm going to study 4 times a week. And then next week I'll study 5 times a week. And then the week after I'll study all 7 days of the week before the test. So knowing when the goal needs to be met, you'll be able to kind of split it up into steps, depending on that time frame. If it's super broad and we're like, well, I want to save, I don't know, $10,000. You never give yourself a time frame, then you don't know how much money to save each week, that kind of thing. So some steps for goal setting are making a plan, write out the specific steps and set a timeline for trying to achieve the goal and the steps within that goal. Explore resources. You can take a self-assessment and kind of ask yourself, what do I have access to that can help? What am I able to use that will help me reach my goal? And for school-related things, that can be tutoring, going to professor office hours, or asking a buddy to do the steps with you, even if it's something that's not school-related. Like if you have a friend that wants to go to the gym with you to help you reach a fitness goal, then that can also be helpful. And be accountable. Don't take responsibility for what you're doing. And you can have a friend do this with you, and just ask them, like, remind me to study. Obviously, you want to take your own responsibility and remind yourself, but sometimes it's just helpful to have another person out there to assist you with this. And again, set reminders. Use your phone. Use a planner. Those kinds of things. And then use rewards and feedback. Celebrate successes, even if they're minor. Sometimes after you read a chapter of a textbook, you just need to let yourself scroll down Twitter or something for 15 minutes. But, give yourself that 15 minutes and then move on, keep going. Or, some celebrate with a snack or go for a walk or do something you like. It doesn't always need to be social media. And then if you find a roadblock and something's not working, you can make alterations to the steps if you need to. You don't need to follow it just because it's what you wrote down. You can kind of change what you're doing if needed. And then you can also ask a trusted friend, professor, or work manager if it's work related, for constructive criticism. Just ask them, are there any areas that I can improve or grow in? And is there anything that I might have some strengths in? That way you can focus on your strengths and enhance any areas for improvement if you need to. So these are some worksheets for goal setting. I am going to open these up so you can see them on the screen. I'm not going to go through them because they're very long. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste these into the chat so y'all can access them on your own. So this first one is for goal exploration. It covers these topics: social, career, physical, family, leisure, personality, and other. It goes through those, and it goes through like a 5-year goal, a 1-year goal, and a 1-month goal. So if this is a handout that y'all think would be helpful and you would like to save that link and print it out for later, then feel free to do that. And this next one is a goal breakdown. It's more individualized to specific goals. So what it does is it kind of walks you through the process of breaking goals into tasks. And then it gives you an outline. So here's where you write the goal, the task, how long it'll take you, and when you're going to complete it on a schedule. I think this one is super helpful if you just have kind of one goal that you're needing to focus on. And then this last worksheet for goals. I know this is a lot, but there's a lot of people on here, so I would trying to and kind of encompass what everyone might find helpful. This one's goal planning, so it's a little bit more broad, I guess. And it's something you want to accomplish in the next week, next month, next year, and then 5 years. And then it helps you break down obstacles to reaching your goals, things you will need to do to achieve your goals, and then what you can begin doing tomorrow to work towards your goals. So if you find that you might think any of these are helpful, feel free to go into the chat and copy and paste those PDF links. Close out of those. All right. Okay, so up next is time management, which goes along with reaching your goals. Time management is the ability to manage your time in order to maximize productivity and plan and control how you spend your day to meet your goals. So I think time management and goal setting just go hand in hand because like we talked about before, setting goals, if your goal is given some sort of time frame, you're more likely to reach it. So poor time management is related to procrastination, attention problems, and difficulty with self-control and increased stress. So, we spend our days not doing anything productive, watching TV, scrolling through Twitter, Netflix, those kinds of things. We're not working on what we need to work on to reach our goals. So it's important to have a work, school, and life balance. And if we're not managing our time well, then we might be trying to multitask, which can lead to attention problems. A lot of people think they can multitask, but I mean, you can't focus on a TV and listen to the radio and text and read a textbook all at the same time, like literally at the same time. Some people like to have music on in the background, and that's a different thing. But working on too many things at once it just gives you more stress. So some benefits of time management are they help you reach your goals, it reduces procrastination, increases productivity, enhances work, school, and life balance because you're kind of balancing out your time between those activities. And it also reduces feelings of overwhelm and frustration. When you have a lot going on, it gets frustrating, especially when you're trying to balance everything out. So some beliefs about time management. Like I said a minute ago, people think that they can multitask. The first one is I work better under time pressure. I hear people say this all the time, even in graduate school, it follows people. But the fact is that time pressure usually creates more stress. Some stress is good, some stress motivates you. But when you face unexpected incidents, such as your computer crashing, a big problem, really big problem. So rather than relying on external time pressure, you can develop your own timeline to keep you motivated. So if you have if in August you see that you have a 20-page paper due in December, rather than doing all 20 pages on December 1st and it's due on the 2nd, then you can maybe set, well, by November, I don't know, November 20th, I'm going to have 10 pages done. That does give you a time pressure a little bit. And you can make your own timeline and keep you motivated. It doesn't need to be the timeline that the professor gave you. So another one is I don't have control over my life. And that's true to an extent. And we don't have control over everything in our lives, but you do have control over many aspects of your life. You have control over how you spend your free time when you're not at work or in class. So it's important to differentiate what you can and can't control and decide what you can do with the time that you do have. I think that's very important to remember. I should do everything perfectly. Perfectionism is a big problem with procrastination. Sometimes we don't want to work on something because we want it to be perfect. And we're afraid to get started on it because if we know it's not going to be perfect, then we don't want to do it. But the fact is that we don't have superpowers. Everybody has limits and we need to learn to work within those limits. When we're not aware of what these might be, then we'll feel exhausted and frustrated. Sometimes we just understand that we aren't that great at math and that our math homework is not going to be perfect, and that's okay, but it still needs to get done and turned in to the best of our abilities. The last one is I shouldn't say no. Big boundary issue. We're going to talk about boundaries in another webinar later this summer. But with this, it's really difficult to say no to people, especially if it's a friend or a family member, because we don't want to disappoint them or hurt their feelings. But when they ask us to help them with something, we may not have the time or the headspace to be able to do it. Like I said a second ago, if we have a 20-page paper due and it's not done, and another classmate or another friend wants us to edit their paper and yours isn't even done yet, you don't have to say yes. You can tell them to go to the writing center. That way you can get your own paper done, that kind of thing. When we focus on other people's needs, you might end up ignoring what you need and what's important to you. So, it's okay to be slightly selfish at sometimes. It's not always okay to ignore some needs that you have. So, that was a lot. I'm going to let Ashley take over now.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Again, just to reiterate, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to type them in the chat box. You can message me or Rachel individually or send it to the group. Okay, so some time management tips. The first one is definitely to get enough sleep. A lot of the times, college students are like running around doing everything, and we don't often give ourselves enough time to sleep, to properly rest our brains and recharge for the next day to have a productive, good day. Make a prioritized to-do list with specific steps to reach your daily goals. So this is pretty important of being able to kind of prioritize your goals, prioritize what you're working on, and able to make sure that you're not spending too much time working on an assignment that's due in a month when you have a different assignment that's due in a week, or things like that. And another good tip is to keep your workspace organized and clean out clutter. So we've all been at home a lot more lately, so keeping the house clean might be a little bit more difficult, but having a clean workspace makes you a lot more productive and can help you kind of ease some of those distractions. You might not be able to focus as well on your homework if there's dishes in the sink or things like that, or if there's yesterday's coffee still on your desk. So another good tip is to limit or set a specific amount of time spent on these time eaters, of like scrolling through social media, watching TV and movies and things like this. We talked about a little bit earlier, if you finish your chapter and you're like, okay, boom, I got it done, let's for 15 minutes, making sure that you kind of stick to that time frame that you allot yourself. And kind of not spending too much of your time watching TV or doing these things when you're trying to accomplish your goals and really work on those things. Using a planner, a calendar, either on your phone, computer, or a physical one. So these calendars can be, there are so many different kinds. You can have actual like full hour schedules, so you can plan your day down to the minute, or you can have more of a broad-based this is when the due date is calendar. Whatever really works for you. I would advise not finding what works for you, finding what you're actually going to use, finding what you're actually going to utilize. Because I know that I have bought some planners that is not there. And then try not to shoot for perfection. So complete tasks to an acceptable level and then return to them later if you have extra time. So a lot of the times, we talked about this a little bit with procrastination, you kind of want it to be perfect, so you put it off. Um, Sometimes you just have to do it. You just have to do it. You just have to do it and accept that that is going to be your first draft. And then if you get it done in a good amount of time, then you have the opportunity to go back and revisit it, rework some of your paper or your presentation, and kind of practice if it's a presentation and develop like a good flow. So if you give yourself that time, you have the ability to then touch it up before you turn it in. So it can be that more perfect level rather than waiting till the last minute and having some like little grammatical errors that you would have been able to catch if you got the chance to reread your work. And then using time between classes to study while it's fresh on your mind. This is a little bit more for like fall classes and things like that where there's a bunch. There's a lot more busy, but this is still very important to kind of study and make sure that you like review your notes and everything while you still have everything there in your brain. Some worksheets with time management. So this one is some time management. It kind of goes over like just some of these big tips that we've discussed and some different things. So that will also be linked in our little chat so you can view that and save it and print it out if you would like. And then also this focus plan. So this is an awesome little worksheet. It is very specific and it's sort of similar to the goal breakdown and the goal planning, but it goes through defining the task, breaking it down into smaller parts, making a schedule and reminders, and kind of how to create a focus plan on how to be able to focus on your specific tasks that you're doing. So that's a pretty awesome little worksheet. If you would like to print that out too, that is also linked in our little chat box. So yeah, that's a pretty awesome. Those are both some good tips and tricks. And then some organization. So this can be a difficult one, but organizational skills and organization really helps with time management. Being more organized makes it easier to complete tasks, and it reduces the time spent on assignments and projects and etc. Things that you have going on. If you don't have to run around the house looking for a blue pen, then you'll get your assignments done a lot quicker. And it also provides a sense of accomplishment and success in task completion. Being more organized helps maintain your focus and minimizes distractions. So if you're more organized, then you don't have those distractions on your desk, and you're also able to go through the process of even like being organized in your work, being organized and writing your paper, and having flow in your thoughts. Some organizational tips. Declutter your work area, like we said for the last one. Just having a general organization. Dedicating a space for work that is free of distractions. So like a specific desk, your kitchen table, maybe even your coffee table, or things like that. Having a space that is dedicated for just work is going to make it a lot easier to distinguish between those times in your day, especially now that we have all of our summer courses are online. Having those dedicated spaces is going to be very important to kind of give yourself that structure and that sense that, okay, we're doing schoolwork now. And then use one calendar to track all important reminders, notes, tasks, tests, assignments, and even social events. So making sure that you're not that you're not using like a planner and a calendar at work and a school calendar. That kind of just gets a little, if that is what works for you, then that's what works for you. But if you're, the more that you limit that, the more organized and that you can be. So creating a master list on paper or computer that prioritizes and updates every pending assignment or project. This is pretty awesome. So you can, at the beginning of the semester, take all of your syllabi and kind of write out all of your assignments and studying that you have to do and kind of make a list of what that semester is going to look like. And then updating that as you complete your tasks. So I like to make little boxes, have a little, instead of bullet points, have it the little box. So whenever you finish it, you can kind of check it off as you go. Delegating tasks and ask for help. Asking for help is one of the hardest skills to learn. So having the ability to reach out and say, hey, I'm kind of drowning right now. I have so much going on, blah, blah, blah. Is there any way that you can help me? Reaching out to a classmate or your professor and saying just like, I'm confused, I don't know where to start on this assignment, and just kind of visiting with them. That can be a really good skill to kind of develop. And it also helps develop that relationship with your professor. So whenever you have a better relationship with your professor, you're probably going to have a better time in class. And then spending 5 to 10 minutes each day to clear out your work area, clean your room, do the dishes, pick up clothes off the floor, any little cleaning task or any little tidying that you can do. Just set a timer on your phone, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe an hour if you got a big old mess. And just putting on music or a podcast or anything like that, and just like dedicating that time to making sure that you have a good work area and a good organized space. Some more tips are don't keep any unnecessary papers. So file it away, scan and upload it to your computer, or trash it if you don't need it in the future. So paperless statements, electronic billing if you can, and then reminders when those are available, and payment due dates. So if you don't need, like, I was getting newspapers in my mailbox, and I'm like, I don't need a dang newspaper. I don't want it. So make sure throwing it away if you don't need it. If you get your syllabi for your classes, having a dedicated space to kind of file that away and keep it organized. And then reviewing your schedule and due dates at the beginning of each month and each week so there are no surprises. So I just got a like a whiteboard calendar. So at the beginning of every month, you have to erase it and write out the new month. So kind of having a little bit of a review, and then making sure each week you know, especially in the summer sessions when everything is so fast, what is due this week? What do I have to have done? Blah, 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 just so that you can make sure that you're not getting left behind or falling behind in your classes. And then blocking off time and deadlines to complete smaller steps for each project so it's not overwhelming to have it all done at once. This is so important of just making sure that you kind of make these big old projects into these bite-sized pieces so that it can be a little bit easier to tackle and not as intimidating. So if you're like, okay, I just have to do the introduction to this paper today, and then tomorrow I can start working on the first little bit of it, or things like that, making sure that they're into bite-sized pieces. And then some support services for goal setting, time management, and organization. The biggest one of this is SWAG, Students with a Goal. It is an awesome, awesome program that is available at ASU. She works with individuals with goal setting and time management, with note taking and other academic skills. So she really, it's run by a woman named Michelle, and works with students on their lead level and kind of helps them kind of figure out how to transition to college and how to succeed and achieve their goals. And then different academic advising. So reaching out with your academic advisor, your professor, or other professionals in your desired field. Um, this can be very motivating. And if you're especially reaching out for kind of like a mentorship type thing with a professional in your desired field, it can kind of give you, they can kind of give you those steps to achieving your goals. And like, okay, what does that look like? What is that going to look like for me? Kind of those things. And then reaching out with your professors or your academic advisor to kind of work through these goals and your processes and all of that. Supplemental instruction, academic tutoring, math lab, and writing center. So these are services available to all ASU students. Their accessible through Blackboard underneath the My Organization section. In the Tutor SI and Math Lab for academic support students lab. And then you can also reach out and look for supplemental instruction options. For like, you can reach out and look for different articles through the library service, or searching for different YouTube videos or things like that that are available online as well. And then first generation RAMs. They are an organization on campus available to first generation students, and they kind of help with the transition to college. So they provide some like mentorship and things like that. And then also our freshman college little link is a pretty good little web page, a tool. It has all of the programs down the side, so you can look through advising, your requirements, academic tutoring, seminar instruction, and then like first generation programs and students with a goal. So the freshman college page is an awesome little resource. So we're going to also put that in the little chat box too, so that you guys can access it. And then, yeah, does anyone have any questions or anything? The Q&A portion. So if you have any questions about goal setting or time management, organization, anything like that, you can feel free to type them in the chat box or.
All right. If there's no questions, then we'll go ahead and close it out. These were the websites that we used just for our information. That way they're out there that we weren't plagiarizing. If y'all need anything, feel free to call up to the counseling services office. We're here for you. This webinar was recorded, so it'll get uploaded to our YouTube channel and stuff like that. But if there's not any questions, so I'll go ahead and close. evening. Thank you all so much for joining in. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for joining.